dress where you want to be, not dress where you are today.
I love
right? And so even if that comes to your different lanes, and tech don't wear suits, right?
Yeah.
So finding what it looks like for you to elevate yourself within that space, that's what I'm all for.
The reason why I asked that is because I think that the way the drip, we eat with our eyes.
Yeah.
Let's be clear,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
And so, there is a level of respect that you command when you walk into a room because you are dressed a certain way. But the reason why I brought it up is because there are certain Black men that want to hear these Black stories. There are certain Black men that may want to be around guys like you guys, because I'm gonna be honest, like y'all, I mean, he ain't a cornball, and I say that respectfully because a lot of times we have this horrible perspective that if a guy is dressed in a suit, oh, y'all corny, y'all don't know nothing or whatever.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Dash. You know, The Dash is that tiny line between your life start date and end date. It's your story, the chapters in your book, your journey. Get ready for real conversations with real people telling real stories about the realities of failure, setbacks, and success. Let's go.
Let's go, we're rolling, let's go. The Dash in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for joining us again for another amazing episode of the Dash Podcast. Now, first of all, I need you guys to click subscribe. Make sure that you're following because we got a lot of dope content. I'm so excited about our guest today because the way that he is using his dash is to be commended. Now, for those of you that don't really understand what the dash is, y'all know that little bitty line that everybody looks over when it's between your birth date and your death date? That's that little dash that people are like, we don't care about that. But that's your story, right? That is the pages in your book that you're writing right now. So we love to hear real stories from real people. And today, I think you guys will enjoy this episode. I got to make sure I say his name right because he said it's French. Okay, no. But he is the founder of Black Menswear. He does it all, you guys. And I'm going to let him tell his story. But welcome to the show, Mr. NeAndre Broussard.
Oh, thank you. You got it. Yeah. Yes. Now, thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, before we even jump into your story, I need people to understand the context of where they've seen you before. As you guys see, he's very, very dapper. There was a picture that went viral a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And so explain to everybody what that picture was.
So that is a picture, it's called Harper. And literally it's the young man Harper who's standing with his fists raised with a sea of 100 Black men behind him. That came from one of our flash mobs, which is a widely known event that we do around the world, bringing Black men together. For that particular flash mob, it was just the right time, right moment, right experience for everybody that was there. And that capture is now become a generational piece of art. And it just tells a story of how we're trying to change the community by embracing brotherhood, by showcasing community connectivity, and then also showing the next generation that whatever you want to do, you got that full support behind you from the brothers that are already here.
Super powerful. So that is what Black Menswear is, right?
That's what Black Menswear is all about. Black Menswear is an organization that focuses on creating the content that tells a true story of who Black men are. A lot of times we find that the media's representation of us doesn't necessarily represent who we are holistically, right? One thing that they'll tell you is that we're not monolithic, but if you let the media try to tell you we're all one way, we're all criminals, we're all absent fathers, we're all out here doing drugs and these kind of things. And it really, when you think about how much you consume of that energy as young Black boys, it turns into who you are, right? It becomes okay for you to fall into these systems or to these traps. And so Black Menswear is really here to combat those stereotypes, not externally, but internally. Our goal is to create so much content that our young Black boys, our brothers, see so much content of themselves in a positive way that they don't allow that negative content to impact their future decisions.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Man, first of all, congratulations on that vision because that is so needed.
Thank you.
Okay, I always say this. In order for people to respect the hustle, we got to go back and find out where all this came from, right? So who is NeAndre?
Man, I'm a little kid from Houston, Texas. My dad is a Marine, retired Marine, 21 years in the military. So a lot of my childhood was based on traveling, right? So when my dad retired, I was 10. I had been to probably 7 or 8 schools up until that point, just based on moving in different places. Different orders came about, and so a couple of school years, I had 2 schools in 1 year, and then we moved somewhere else. Right, so it was a gift for me because it helped me to adapt to other people, but it also grew the people person that I was. Because I was able to see some. No, not as a 6-year-old.
As a 6-year-old, you're like, Dad, I just made friends.
And that was the thing too. And it was I just made friends, and then it became time to move. But after a couple of times, you realize, you're like, all right, either it's going to be up to me or I'm not going to have a good time. And I never know how long I'm going to be here for, so I need to embrace and have the best time I can. So I was always, hey, how you doing? My name is NeAndré. I'm from Utiwu. And being able to connect with people quickly, it just grew over time. Now, I will tell you, I did know this about myself when I graduated high school. So when I was graduating high school, I had made the decision. I did very well in school. Grades were very, very good. So I graduated at a level in the state of Texas. So if you graduate top 10%, then you're able to go to any state school free. Plus my dad, military benefits, I could have gone to any school free in the state, any public school. My black behind side, I want to go to a private school.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
NeAndré,
right.
come on now.
But the reason for it, so me and my dad were taking these college trips, and I remember this moment because I look back on it and said that was a defining moment for me. We had just came back. I think we went to visit A&M, went to visit Texas, then went to visit SMU. And actually went to visit Tulane. So I was going to Tulane first. Hurricane Katrina happened, so then I came to SMU. And the reason why I chose those universities is because I told my dad, I said, I want to go somewhere where I won't get lost in the sea. I want to go somewhere where I can leave a mark. And that was why I decided to go to the school that I did. Did I leave that mark? Yes. Right. I was able to start an organization or a collaboration or balance between the Black alumni and the Black Student Association to start a scholarship foundation. That the scholarship is still going on today.
Oh my gosh.
12 years later after I've been there, right? So being able to have that mark on a school, on somewhere, because I've always been a people person. And then I fast forward to background in finance and sales. The moment for me to where it sparked Black Menswear specifically was, 2014, 15, 16, 17, even before that, when I go back to Trayvon Martin and the Agenda 6, like those are all pivotal moments for me seeing myself portrayed out in other people's stories by the media. Now, media is not all bad, but they do a good job at keeping that bad person name, right? And so a lot of the times, again, a lot of the stories that they told that I can see myself in, because we have this trauma as Black men. Anytime we see one of those instances, we automatically can put ourselves there because it could have been us, right? And so looking through all of that trauma, it just started to weigh heavy on me. I was like, that doesn't look like me. And specifically the Philando Castile situation hurt me, and in a way that as I was, this whole moment going on here, I'm sitting here watching it. My oldest son is an infant on the floor crawling around, and I'm seeing this story of, oh man, this Black, he didn't do nothing wrong. He was sitting in his vehicle. He pronounced what he had with him, but you ask him for his ID, he goes for his ID, you shoot him out of fear just because you're not comfortable with him, right? And then they try to paint this picture of him to be a villain. Like, oh, well, let's go back to the time where he was 14 years old and had a blunt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like these kind of things, but they'll do anything to depict a villain in these situations so that way the public perspective or the guilty in public court or public opinion is already there, so the police can then have their way out, right? That moment for me really hurt because I was like, damn, even if I live a good life and I do all that I can to be there for my family, at the end of the day, somebody else is still gonna tell my story. So how can I tell this story? And I looked at my son and I said, man, I don't want them telling that story about you either 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And so that's where the birth of Black Menswear came, literally in that moment of, all right, man, I got to do something to where I can put out so much more positive content around Black men that those stories become far-fetched, not the stories of success.
That's good. I love that. You mentioned your father. Actually, you've mentioned him a couple of times. Yeah. Unfortunately, in the Black household, a lot of Black fathers may not be present as your father was. I want to speak on that for a second, because he obviously played a huge positive influence in your life. Every time I see you, NeAndré, I'm not even joking. He didn't do this for the podcast. He wakes up and he goes to the gym like this, okay?
In a suit like that.
But that is not as common. Or maybe it is. And I just haven't seen it, just to be honest,
Yeah.
But for you to be young, it's like you see the brothers when they get in the 50s and 60s, they suited and booted. I do know several guys that their appearance and being dapper and always, bringing the A game is important. Unfortunately, you don't see it all the time. So when did this piece of it start, where you started to say, when you look at me, you're going to respect me before I even open my mouth? Because oftentimes, we have to do the song and pony and dance and show that we're different than what people expect.
Right. So a couple of different answers to your question there. Yes, my father was there for me from day one. My parents have been married for 6 years now. My dad rooted me in discipline because he was a disciplinarian as being a Marine. And with that impression upon me of, and that's the thing, I came from a family, all of my black male figures were there. My father, my grandfathers. Now, they might not have been with the same woman, but they was there.
Hey, that ain't our business, NeAndre.
And so, but, my family was really rooted in the dad is there. Right? Okay. All of my uncles, all of the children, like, they're rooted in, this your daddy, this is who you respect, and this is who's going to help to guide you and mold you into who you are as a man. Okay. And so I had that in my dad, and I appreciate that. And then I add my mom to it, who gives me my entrepreneurial spirit, who gives me my risk taker, who gives me those things I get from my mom. And the compassion that I try to live with comes from her as well. And having that, I think, definitely molded me to the person that I am today, and definitely molded me to the father that I want to be. Had my dad not been there, that moment that I had looking at my baby son probably wouldn't have happened either, because I didn't have that pass through. When George Floyd happened, my dad called me, and I could hear the tears in his voice as he asked me that. He said, "Hey, son, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good, Dad." He said, "Okay, I know you, just making sure that you're okay." He said, "I'm sorry." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm sorry that my generation didn't fix this for you with all the stuff that we tried to do in the past. And as a father, I couldn't save you from this." Like, that had me like, oh, shit. For my dad's a Marine, like, again, this is a tough dude. Yeah. And for him to be at a point of vulnerability with me as his son, it really meant a lot, right? And so that's kind of what made that part of me kind of come out in this leadership for black men specifically, right? Now, the drip came when I crossed KSI Phi Nu Pi, you know what I'm saying? And as a brother of Kappa Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, you can't just come anywhere, any kind of way.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, okay.
So I take that, but that, in all joking, I'm a little serious, right? I grew up as a church boy. My dad was a military man, so I saw him in a uniform all the time. So I could have gone the easy route on, okay, I can wear something that's basic, right, and still been nice, but like, no. I wanted to be different in that. Then once I started getting comfortable, you brought up, right? So my 12 years in financial services, as I rose through the ranks, I started realizing how people were speaking to me differently just based on how I entered the room with my suit on.
So true.
Right? And I was, again, knowledgeable, bro. I went to SMU. I'm smart. But I didn't even have to prove myself. Like, literally, old white men were like, "Oh, bro, I love the suit you have on. Yep. Tell me a little bit more about it." And then from there, I can easily go into whatever I was there to sell them, right? So for me, I saw that door broke down a long time ago, and I fully embraced it. Yeah. Then I started having fun with it, learning about then I kind of took an approach of, understanding the art of it.
Right.
So learning about the different, the lapels, the buttons, the cuts, the fabrics. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I started doing flash mobs. So one of the biggest things, one of the biggest lessons I got out of the flash mob were feedback I got from my boy Robert out of New York. He goes by the Wealthy Guy. Okay. And he's like, "Man, NeAndré, I've been a number of these, right?" He said, "I love how you've progressed over time." I said, I had to. I was tired of coming to my own event and getting shitted on because I have, super dope clothiers that are put their stuff on and coming out here. Yeah. And I'm standing in the middle of everybody, and I'm looking to the left and the right, and I'm like, oh, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
So
they even need to be in the front.
Even with that, they elevated my game of being around those brothers, and that's kind of really how developed and cultivated. While we do focus on telling the stories of the man behind the suits, as I've gone further and further than just the passion, not the passion, but the enjoyment of, having something that puts on that fits me because it was made only for me.
I love that.
Right? Having the options. And I got parts of my closet I can't even go in the summertime because the fabrics are too heavy. Yeah. Right? Understanding that, it's like, oh, those are my fall winter suits. This is my spring summer collection over here.
You're real bougie. Okay, so I do have to ask this because you know, what about the man that has never had a custom suit, that can't afford a custom suit? You know,
I'll even say this before you even go, like, you don't got to have a custom suit for anything. You know what I'm saying? Now, one thing that you do have to have, if you do have that suit and you go get that suit off the rack, you need to take it to a tailor so that way it looks like it came for you. You could take a $50 suit or a $30 suit that you get at a thrift store, take that to a tailor and it looks like a $5,000 suit. So it's taking that extra step to make sure that you're presentable in that way as you want to be received, right? So if I want to go and look like a boss, well, shoot, I'm gonna take the steps to look like the boss. And in that situation, when it comes related to suits, and if I don't say this, I don't care about the suit. I don't like that. I don't want it to feel as though it's a conversation around, you know, being successful. You must have a suit. Nah, that's not it at all. But I'm very much on the front of dress where you want to be, not dress where you are today.
I love
right? And so even if that comes to your different lanes, and tech don't wear suits, right?
Yeah.
So finding what it looks like for you to elevate yourself within that space, that's what I'm all for.
The reason why I asked that is because I think that the way the drip, you know, we eat with our eyes.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, right?
For sure.
And so, you know, there is a level of respect that you command when you walk into a room because you are dressed a certain way. But the reason why I brought it up is because there are certain Black men that want to hear these Black stories. There are certain Black men that may want to be around guys like you guys, because I'm gonna be honest, like y'all, I mean, he ain't a cornball, and I say that respectfully because a lot of times we have this horrible perspective that if a guy is dressed in a suit, oh, y'all corny, y'all don't know nothing or whatever, and so then you have this whole nother, man that wants to be a part of a Black organization and wants to, just connect. And then they feel like they don't belong.
Yeah. I think too, you judge a book by its cover as well. And that's something that we've done as a community. Unfortunately, we've drawn this line is what it means to be Black, right? And the bad thing about it is, it's not judging based off of your experience. It's judging based on how you carry yourself, right? Mm-hmm. If you carry yourself this way, if you talk this way, then you're Black. But if you're articulate, you're well educated, and you do things, it's like, oh, well, you're doing it like a white person. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing it at a level of excellence that shouldn't be different for us as a community. And so from that perspective too, I love talking with brothers that say first flash mob. Right, so we got this global traveling collective where we get this content, but it's also a very, very strong networking event.
Okay, good.
We have had guys that met at the flash mobs 3 or 4 years ago that are now business partners. Oh, wow. We've had guys that had nonprofits that grew out of dudes that were there and like, hey man, we need to create a board and develop nonprofits, mentorship programs. A lot has come out of here. Fundraising that people were trying to get has come from them attending a flash mob. But also the experience that a gentleman has that, hey, this is my first one, man. I just went, I bought this suit, and bro, I'm just here. And like, man, just being here.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, this is the only suit in my closet. And I only got it just so I can come here. But like, being here and experiencing this, I don't know if I'm gonna get a whole bunch more suits, but I'm gonna tap in with these brothers. You know what I'm saying? And just that experience in itself, just being able to put yourself in a situation, in the environment, in the ambiance, that suit. You go to the gym, you don't wear a suit. You made the joke, right? I go work out. You wear the appropriate attire for that.
Sure.
When people put on clothes, the clothes they put on, it actually stimulates their brain, right? Your outward appearance actually stimulates you because it builds your confidence, or it keeps your confidence at a certain level.
True.
And so this term enclothed cognition is really the study around how what you put on activates your mental better. Mm-hmm. And so for me, like tapping into that as well, like when you see how a brother stick his chest out when he has that suit on, oh, I'm going to tackle today, right? I'm going to tackle today. Can't nobody tell me nothing. And especially when you get that first cosign, that compliment from a brother or sister that's like, okay, I see you, King. Then you really like, all right, yeah, I'm tackling today. And just how that mental shift, right? That's what's super important. So the suit, I mean, yes, it speaks. It's totally different conversations. It puts you in places that can help elevate you just because you appear to have a lot in here. Yeah. So let me at least get myself in that door. And then once I'm in that door, us as people, we know how to make our way through. And so being able to really have that, but what can help you to open that door initially, how you look, how you're perceived, how you walk into a room, how you carry yourself. And the suit for me has been one of those things that just took it one step further.
NeAndré, I want to co-sign you because first of all, I think representation is important.
Facts.
Again, going back to the fact that we eat with our eyes, right? We see things before we give anything a chance.
Yeah.
So with my nonprofit a few years ago, I had a group of brothers that would come with me. And of course, we go into the hood schools.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. 100% of these young men had never tied ties before.
Right.
Or owned a tie, learned how to tie a tie, all of that. So I would literally, to your point, see their chest poke out.
Yeah.
You would see their demeanor change. You would see them, just there was a different belief in themselves. Simply, they have on their school shirts.
Yeah.
But putting a tie around their neck, knowing that somebody taught them how to tie it, and they would be like, yeah, Jay, I'm fly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They were like, yeah, I'm a business owner now, And it does give them a different type of swag.
Yeah.
And, just simply giving them a compliment. Look at you. You look nice. Little. Like, yeah, I sure do.
Yeah.
Now they felt like anything was possible by something that minute.
You see that spark. That's the spark that we want to do around the world with our young brothers, and even not even just our young brothers, with our brothers, right? Just that spark of optimism, of hope that, you know what, everything ain't bad. Because again, especially if you're impressionable, everything looking bad for you, it's like, okay, I'm going to end up there. And so if we can just shine that light and have that spark. Now, whatever you do after that point, it's up to you. It's on you to do it. But if we can at least ignite it, we can put the fuel on it that then catches fire, just that compound interest is going to be beautiful.
There's a lot of Black men watching. There's probably a lot of Black women watching too that have men in their lives. Can you speak to them about the importance of getting outside of their comfort zone? Because sometimes, again, your company tells Black stories.
Mm-hmm.
However, because I want to make sure everybody understands this is not just about clothes and drip and all that kind of stuff. However, to your point, it does something for you when you put on a different, when you elevate, your clothes game, right? Let's talk to the Black man that's like, but that's just not me. That's not who I am. I don't feel like I should have to do that in order to get my story heard, to be respected, because I really want to make sure that everyone is included, because I know you and I know that everyone is included. You tell stories of all Black men, not just one type of Black man. So why is that important for a Black man to get outside of his comfort zone and possibly,
I'm going to push back a little bit.
Okay.
Right? I don't think you need to get outside your comfort zone. I think you need to find your tribe. And what I feel as though we're creating is a tribe that allows brothers to feel at home no matter how. You know what I mean? Because again, like, it's not a judging space. It's none of that. And so if you're there and you find your tribe, wherever your tribe might be, I feel as though find that first. And then I think your tribe then helps you to elevate yourself, right?
I
to
love
where
that.
you don't necessarily get out your comfort zone. Yes, you're going to do things that are uncomfortable, right? But if you have a tribe that's going to embrace you, that can help you, it can help to take those uncomfortable moments and turn them into comfort, right? Let's learn, let's develop from everything that we go and we do, and finding that tribe that's going to help to pour into you, that you can also pour into, right? We go so much further as a community, and so if you can find your tribe within that, they can help you. Let's say not get out your comfort zone, but expand your horizons, right? Have that growth that's necessary for everybody. You should be every day trying to get better in one way or another, right? And when you start that, having that tribe, I think will really help to develop that till we can expand our horizons and not be stuck in situations that are open and ready and waiting for us to fall into.
I appreciate that. Because your tribe is not for everybody. And I think that sometimes we want everybody to be a part of our tribe. I definitely appreciate you saying that. You have to find the tribe that is right for you. That's important.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So you got a lot of other stuff going on too. I got to make sure we tap in.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we want to support everything that you have going on. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, you have a podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
Now a part of the Revolt family.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. So we started the CheckIn Podcast during the pandemic. It was our way of, because we weren't doing flash mobs, we had to still have a way of engaging with our audience. And so we started it on IG Live, where we were able to tap in. I mean, we just the ability to get, JB Smooth, Afion Crockett, Ryan Clark, Emmanuel Acho, Rich Fresh, to jump on with us to talk to our audience about their successes. we were like, no, we gotta like this. The check-in is important, and it's a way for us to. And it's funny, like we leverage real people, celebrities per se, versus I mean, granted, LeBron's like, I'll be on the podcast for sure. We gonna do it, but something that's attainable to where guys can see themselves there, because we don't want anything to be out of reach. We don't want anything to be out of touch. We want everything to be, oh, I can see myself within that. And so now the check-in in our third season, we just got picked up by Revolt. Which is, again, that for us, it's been a phenomenal journey to be able to tell these stories and capture these stories in a way that's impactful for our audience, and then consistently thinking about how we can continue to develop that and move that forward. So very excited about the check-in with Black Menswear. If you're on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, iHeartRadio, any of those, go to the check-in with Black Menswear, and you'll find our last 3 seasons on there.
Okay, and then what else do you have going on?
Well, so, man, God is good right now. I will say that. We just finished our first ever Black Men's Summit. The inaugural Black Men's Summit was here in Dallas, Texas. It was a collaboration between Black Menswear, our organization, Black Wealth Renaissance, the Dad Gang, and the Black Man Can. 4 Black male-led organizations coming together to shift the culture of our community forward.
Love that.
So the inaugural Black Men's Summit, it was tremendously successful when we think about the impact of the brothers that were there and the content that we got, that we were able to push out and just change stories directly from the mouths of brothers. Sure. Right. So very excited about that. We've got our YouTube series called Dapper Conversations. Our next episode will be shot in Miami in December. And it's a 3-on-1 panel that I get to host and really connect and engage with a number of, again, successful Black men that are not monolithic, that are telling different stories in their different lanes. So being able to share that with our audience through our YouTube channel, and that actually is syndicated with Reach TV.
Okay.
And so we just partnered with Reach TV, and I shout out Linwood Bibbins. Linwood actually came down to be a speaker for our summit, but he is the CEO and founder of Reach TV, which, if you guys don't know, if you're in airports or in hotels, it's likely that they're streaming through his distribution platform.
Amazing.
Yeah, so shout out to him. We're actually also in talks with his network on shooting our first pilot for a show.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's so good. It's your season, boy.
It's our season. We've got a documentary. So we went to Africa this past July. So we're partnering with Hope Missions of Ghana to build a school outside of Kumasi, Ghana. And so we got to go to there to see the development of it, to interact with the village. We got to go to the Cape Coast, where the slave castles were at. We did a flash mob in Ghana as well. And so that entire story, we've got a documentary that we're launching on Thanksgiving of this year. And so
we got to support that.
Yeah,
we're
doing a global premiere. So our goal is to have everyone tune in and watch it at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, right in between the last 2 football games of the day.
Oh my gosh.
And so we're going to push that out for Thanksgiving, a familiar time to watch this documentary. So that's a big thing for us to be able to have that. Black Male Influencer Network, I can't forget about them. So we've got 20 Black Male influencers that we're representing to get them the appropriate pay from brand deals they do. When we started the network 2 years ago, a lot of the influencers that we worked with were underpaid, not because of the brand, but because of themselves. So the brand would ask them, hey, we want to do a post for you, 2 posts, on your platform. What would you do it for? And they come back and they say, I'll do it for $750.
Yeah, because
they like, are you crazy?
You don't know. Yeah.
Are you crazy? This is a multi-billion-dollar organization. We'll be right back. And then so having my buddy, my business partner, our chief outreach officer, Evan, with the background in advertising, knew these things. And so having him come to the table on behalf of our brand, our influencers, we did well over 6 figures last year in brand deals for our influencers, just to help to close that wealth gap that they're doing, because they're taking advantage of our Black male creators and offering them pennies, and we create the culture. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to have that, that is something that's been our way of, again, that economic leverage. Because we don't go to the table, we don't give them what they deserve. We're not gonna let them get underpaid.
I love that.
And then having the conversation with them when you got me how much? Yeah, bro, 25 racks.
Yeah.
For 3 months of your work.
Yeah.
Now you better go kill that content.
Yes.
But embrace it and now understand this is where you should be at. This is your standard now for the content. You have X amount of followers. You make this type. They need to pay you the accurate price for that. So being able to do things like that. What am I? We got suits.
I mean,
just
be on top of that. Yeah.
That's and it's funny because that's really the basis of our business, right?
Right.
Nomenclature aside, we do more content storytelling than we do suit sales. But if you need it, we got it.
That part. I love that.
Yeah.
You know what you guys are doing that is so amazing. What I'm figuring out is everybody is playing to their strength.
Oh, absolutely.
You have a team of people that have come together. I say this all the time. Other cultures have mastered coming together, forming partnerships where it's like everybody's winning.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we sometimes struggle with that, because it's just like
it's no fault of our own. The system's been designed for us to be crabs in a barrel, right? They're you think about it in schools, like once schools became desegregated. Now again, that's a whole conversation on whether we should have been thriving and surviving in our own lanes. But now that we're there, once you started seeing like, okay, well, there's only one black kid admitted to the school. It's only one black, person admitted to this and that. And then it became I can be the only one. And so it's been ingrained in us. So now it's all right. We're growing out of that.
Yeah,
we're learning to collaborate. We're learning to work together. We're learning that it don't got to be just me. It could be we at this table.
Yeah.
Right. And my success doesn't have anything to do with cutting off your success.
Yes.
And understanding that and realizing that. I think we're in a space where we are understanding that as a people. I'm excited about that.
I love that. That is very, very exciting. Okay, my last question for
ma'am.
you, because you have so many amazing things going on. But I want to talk to the person that is going through a season of discouragement right now.
Yeah.
Because obviously things are not always great.
Yeah.
Right? Things are not always perfect. Things are not always as we wish they would or could be.
Yeah.
How do you stay encouraged? Again, right now, the Lord is raining on you, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there has been a time in your life where you're like, why aren't things clicking on all cylinders as if I would like them to? How do you keep going?
Man, I'm very rooted in my faith, and everything that I'm at now, and people ask me this all the time around like how you feel like after an event or things like that. I said I feel great, but it's not about how I feel. It's about how you feel, right? How did you feel coming to this? How did you feel? And as long as I'm continuing to do that, that's my ministry. Right, I don't think I'm supposed to be in nobody's pulpit and do anything like that. But how can I show God's love through me to the people that attend my event? Right? How can I show God's love through me on people that hear my words on their podcast or on their on a show that they watch that we've produced? Right? How can I continue to leverage that? That's how I stay rooted. At the end of the day, none of this is about me.
Amen.
I've seen people that rose to success, they got very self-centered and they lost it all, right? I don't want to be that. I care less about somebody really giving me the accolades and actually understanding what our mission is behind our organization. Mm-hmm. And so for me, staying rooted in the fact that, I'm nobody but God's vessel that's working towards doing this. And for me, that's the humility that I need. I can have a very big head. I ain't gonna lie. Like I could.
that was the most honest statement. I love that.
I could.
Yes.
But I know what happens with that,
Amen.
right? I know where that leads you. And then you got a target on your back because now you're like, oh, that's how you want to be? Everybody's trying to take you down. I don't want that. I want to fly right up under the radar. I want to be impactful. As an organization, we say impact over influence. I would rather not be an influencer. I'd rather be an impact agent. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what keeps me rooted and keeps me grounded because I know none of the stuff that I'm doing is for me. It's for my sons, it's for my grandchildren, it's for my brothers, it's for my cousins. I've seen the change in people, very close people to me, being around what we're doing.
Amen.
Like a change from cuffs to no cuffs, like change in lives. And so for me, that's it. That's what I'm doing. That's why I keep doing it. And through all the bad times that come, they're gonna come. I'm mentally prepared for them to come as they've come in the past, right? You got to be ready for everything. But I'll never lose the faith in like this is my mission for my life.
NeAndré, I think you are an amazing individual, not because of the way you look and the way you carry yourself, just because you get it.
Yeah.
Just because what I see in you is you continuously trying to grow others. That servant leadership is important, and you will always have my support. I've run into you a couple of times, and it's the same NeAndré every single time. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Continue to tell those Black stories. Continue to let us know how we can support you. So for all of these things, you listed about 20 things you have going on. Tell us how they can follow you and keep up, because that is a lot, okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's a blessing. It's great.
My personal page is at Mr. Mister Broussard, Broussard. All platforms we're on there as Black Menswear. You can also go to blackmenswear.com and see all the stories that we're trying to tell and tapping in with us. To what you said earlier, I have a phenomenal team that's grown over time. That some people was there that's not there now. You know, and some people have been there since day one, and just knowing that and understanding that a team is what makes everything go. And I'm very appreciative of my team.
Yeah.
Again, shout out to everybody on the team supporting what we're doing. It's not what I'm doing, but what we're doing. But you can find us at Black Menswear.
There you go. Y'all make sure to support. And again, this is all about your dash. You see how this man has used his dash? Lord have mercy, your line about to be real long.
Hey, it's legacy. I'm trying to make sure we got the right legacy out there.
Amen. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the Dash Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. And feel free to share with some family and friends. Thanks, guys.